Hare Krishna. Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. You okay? Okay, I've been asked to start proceedings. Well, second act, actually. So, thank you very much, everybody, for joining in this evening in the Harinam. We're very lucky and very fortunate to have a special guest this evening, as you all know, so I'm very grateful for that. It's nice to see you. It's nice to see you, Esther. Where you been? So we do the usual thing. We'll have some kirtan and then Maharaj gives class, etc. I don't think he needs any introduction, so but we will. But for now, we'll have a little bit of kirtan for a while. And you can all relax after all your exertion out there in the heat of the high street, yes? I don't think I need to give you any instruction about what we're doing, do I, right now? So. Kirtan ki jai. Thank you very much. If you've all got dry throats now, talk about exertion on the high street. It's a bit warm, it's a bit like being in India, isn't it? Anyway, thank you very much. That very nice transcendental choir. Okay, it's down to me to welcome our special guest this evening. Quite a few have already been with him out on Harinam. I know it's I was reflecting today when I was coming down about how when I first, Kripamoya Prabhu was one of the first devotees I ever met down at Glastonbury Festival back in the early 1980s. And through my spiritual life, in and out, he's always been there. Whenever I came back after my blooping period, coming back in period, it's always wonderful to have these steady association of devotees who are totally committed to this process, to their guru, to Srila Prabhupada, and to helping us all to progress in our spiritual lives, and always there for us as well. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing that these people are there. Kripamoya being one of them, and I'm very grateful for his association and support through the years. So, and I'm sure all of you are very pleased to welcome him. So I think in our normal way, I don't know if you've already done this, but we should all put our hands in the air to welcome our guests with 3 loud Haribols. Hari Bol! Hari Bol! Hari Bol! So I'm very grateful you've come to join us this evening. So thank you for that. I'll pass over to the main event now.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So nice to see you here in Calcutta. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
Hare Bol.
It's the best garland I've had all day. Hare Krishna. Nice to see you all. I would like to begin by telling you a story from Victorian India, from Bengal, in the east of India. This concerns a magician. Anybody like magic? Anybody hopes that I can do magic for you? I'm afraid I can't. But this magician could. And he'd become so famous that even the British, in British India, wanted to see him. They'd heard so much about him. His name was Sarkar. Sarkar. You know him?
Yeah.
So he came, and the British filled the pandal. Pandal is a big tent. So the lords and ladies were sitting there. They were expecting a big show. And he was going to start at 2 o'clock. Rather like our timekeeping today. He was going to start at 2 o'clock. And everybody was fidgeting because 2 o'clock came. Everybody was looking around. And this magician was usually punctual. And he wasn't there. Where is he? Everybody was whispering. Where is Sakar? Everybody looked at their watches, which in those days didn't mean they did this or took out their phone. They took out their pocket watches. They looked, flipped open the lid, looked, and saw that it was 5 past 2. 5 past 2, where's Sakar? Don't keep the lords and ladies of the British Raj waiting. The Indian magician. 10 past 2 came. And they began to look at each other and say, well, where is he? I'm not sitting here in this heat. And the ladies were getting moist. They were fanning their faces, and the gentlemen were patting their faces with their handkerchiefs. 2:15 came. They looked at their watches and everybody seems to go to wish to. Then Sarkar came on stage and there was no applause because he was late, 15 minutes late. And he announced, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if my punctuality offends you, but I think if you look at your watches, you will discover that I'm not late at all. And everybody took out their pocket watch and looked, and it was 2 o'clock. He said, this, ladies and gentlemen, is my first trick. So we like magic because it suspends normal reality, in the same way that spiritual life is described as suspending normal reality and elevating us above normal time and space into another dimension. People like to hear stories of walking through a door to another dimension. Well, that's how I felt when I first came to the Krishna Consciousness Temple, which was just a tent in a muddy pop festival. Both Mukunda Kishore and I share a history of attending pop festivals in the hope that we would find something spiritually sublime. And in both our cases, we found it. We find it by devotees of Krishna entering into time and space with their compassion. Compassion is something that crosses boundaries and it lifts us up. And the eternal is in the form of the names, the sound which reaches us. Mukunda Kishore, how long have you been chanting this? Or what was the Hare Krishna mantra? How long have you been chanting that mantra?
How long? 40. Well, since then, really. I think 1982.
82.
Yeah, 1982, yes.
And how boring is it?
It's not.
I'll ask you the question that other people ask me sometimes. Don't you ever get bored? Just 3 words over and over again. And the answer is, Mukunda Kishore?
No.
No, we don't get bored. We don't get bored because we are tasting the eternal, tasting the timeless, tasting that which is beyond time and space, beyond material identity. And when we get to that level, we are also tasting something called Ananda. Ananda means unlimited happiness. There is Sukha, which just means ice cream. Ice cream on a hot day is Sukha. But Ananda is in a realm of its own. And the great sages of India, they've told us that if you want to experience this Ananda, you must do it when? Later? No. By tea time? No. When? Now. Right now. Right now. Well, that sounds a bit pushy, doesn't it? Sounds a bit aggressive. But you see, from the sage's point of view, there is only now. There is only now. What time is it? It's now. Don't try this when you go to work. You turn up, you got an appointment at 9 o'clock, special interview. You turn up at 9:30, and the gentleman says, what time do you call this? You say, now. I live in the now. In the Vedanta Sutra, when we've gone through all of the Vedas are the canonical texts for how to live in life. How we live in life. Oh. Srila Prabhupada was at an airport in Atlanta. That's very nice. You can only stay as long as the story, then you have to sit back down. And a devotee was fanning Srila Prabhupada with a newspaper. And the cameramen were taking pictures, and the journalist was writing notes. And they said, Swamiji, can we ask you, is this an ancient Hindu ritual? Is this something that you do in India? Prabhupada just looked. And sometimes Prabhupada looked with eyes of compassion. And sometimes he looked with eyes of sheer incredulity. He just said to the journalist, he said, it is hot. And he is fanning me. friend. So when we go through all the Vedas, we find that there's directions for how to have a good life in all dimensions. How to have a good life so that you can live a long life, Ayurveda. So that you can defend yourself, your country, from aggression, Dhanurveda. So that you can develop economically, how you can balance the books, manage your local resources, make sure your income and expenditure are balanced, Atharvaveda, so that you can have a very good life with you and your partner, singular. The Kamaveda. So we have all different types of Vedas. Then there are ways to elevate oneself. You see, because this is not our first life. This is not our second life. We've lived many lives before. And we've inherited everything from that life into this one. We're a package deal. We're wrapped up in skin. This is us, we're wrapped up in skin, package deal for many, many holidays that we've been enjoying. All that luggage has been wrapped up and deposited at our feet, along with our umbilical cord in this life. It remains for us to unwrap it all. So, to elevate oneself in the next life, that's also in Vedas. And there are different forces of nature called devas, who are in charge of the different forces of nature, like weather and fortune and misfortune. And so we try to use the Vedas to appease them. It's like I do a lot of weddings. Well, I used to when I was younger. In my life, I've done many, many weddings. I started maybe 30 years ago. And today I totaled 600 weddings. 600 kalyans, 600 vidays, 600 agni homas. So it's not a great achievement, it's just what you do in your life. But what was my point? In the wedding services we try to appease the devatas by doing something called Navagraha Puja. Navagraha Puja takes the 9 planets and the devas or rishis behind the 9 planets and offers puja. Puja means I give something and I ask for something. And we do it. I take you to dinner and I ask you for signing a contract. Yeah. Can I buy you a coffee? I buy you a coffee and we're friends. I play saxophone, you give me a plate of chips, which was mine. I think he was hoping that we would contribute a few pence to his meager collection. So everything in this world we do for a reason. Usually it's a self-centered reason, to get something at the end of it. Even the relationship between husband and wife is sometimes like that, isn't it? Wife serves the husband serves the wife, children serve the parents serve the children, but we all want something. Because when a child gets to 13 and starts slamming the door in our face, I hate you, we then say what do we say to the child? What does the parent say to the child? Is this the way you treat me after everything that I've done for you? In other words, for these 13 years of investment in your future, I wanted something. I wanted you to love me. But now I discover that you don't love me. Relax, parents, it's just a stage they're going through. They'll open the door very soon and say, can you take me to the town? I've got to meet my friends. So everything that we do is transactional. So with the devas, we're also doing some transaction. But then at the very end of the Vedas, it is said, don't do that. Only fools do that. The wise people, they don't do anything transactional because they realize that if you do something for any selfish reason, you'll have to pay later on. So, Vedanta is the Upanishads. Upanishads begin, or the Vedanta Sutra begins with Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Jigyasa means let us try to understand. Brahma means Supreme Spirit, that which is pervading everything, which is above and beyond everything. that you don't see, you can't touch, can't taste, you can't smell it, but it is there. Scientists like to call it the unified field. It's there, permeating every atom. See, it's there. Quantum physicists love to talk about it. They can't stop talking about it. Rishis in India also talk about it. You know, if you're a quantum physicist or you're in Switzerland, you're from Katerina is from Switzerland. Where is that CERN particle accelerator? It's in Geneva. So Geneva's not quite Switzerland, is it? It kind of is, but it's really French. Yeah, they're French people up there. So when you go to the CERN particle accelerator, it can drive particles, atomic particles, so fast that they collide with each other at the speed of light. That's fast. And it's in a big circle, a kilometre wide, hidden deep in the mountain. But when you go there, you see a beautiful figure of Nataraj, Lord Shiva, dancing. Some clever scientists saw the connection between Lord Shiva and the particle accelerator. You can do the research afterwards. But when you do this, you will understand that there is only a very few people can use that particle accelerator. You can't just walk in and say, "Hello, I'd like to smash some atoms today, please." And they say, "Well, who are you? What's your name? Which university are you doing research for? How many papers have you written? Are you a professor? I'm sorry, there's the exit door. Get out. I just wanted to smash some atoms. Please leave." Security. In the same way that just only very few people in this world know what it means to smash atoms or have actually experienced it. So in the same way, only very few people have smashed the ego completely and risen above the ego to experience Brahman. You see? But just because you've never smashed an atom, that doesn't mean that no one's done it. It just means that you haven't done it. And just because you haven't experienced Brahman, it doesn't mean that no one has. It just means that you haven't. So stop thinking everything should come down to your level and get busy trying to get up to that level. Therefore, Vedanta begins with this one statement. Vedanta Sutra, a sutra, what is a sutra? Sutra is a thread. I mean, it's just like you have a necklace and you have beads strung on a thread. So a sutra is a thread it's an idea with different beads, and each mantra is a bead on that sutra, on that thread. So it begins, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Try to understand Brahman. When? Atato. Now. When? Now. When? Now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but right now. That's the time for meditation. There's a very famous book called The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. And people come to me and they say, "Wow, have you read The Power of Now?" I say, "No. I've got no time to read that. I'm doing meditation already. It's fantastic. It says all about the power of now, just believing in the now." Yes, I say, yes, that's very good. You got all those ideas from Vedanta. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Then, what is the Brahman we should try to understand? Janmadi Asyayataha. Janmadi Asyayataha. That is what everything comes from, by which everything is suspended, and into which everything is returned. This is that element. So that's the first level of Vedanta. And then we go on. Now, if you go to India, you'll see that they use coins and notes called rupees. And rupees all have one face on. Mahatma Gandhiji, the father of the nation of India. He's on every note. Still,
Yes.
they haven't changed it yet. They're thinking of changing. So Mahatma Gandhi said, if some foreign army comes to India and destroys all the Vedas, all the temples, and there's nothing left, God forbid, but if everything is destroyed and nothing is left, he said, if there's just one scrap of paper in the whole of India with one verse, one shlok written on it, then the whole of the Vedic culture could be re-established. What is that verse? The most powerful verse. That's the verse given to us by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Isha Vasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagacham jagat tena chaktena punjita ma gruta kasya svedam. That everything in this world that you see, touch, taste, hear or smell, anything that you cannot touch, taste, hear or smell, is owned not by you, not by your mum, not by your boss, but is owned by Isha, because it's permeated by Isha. So that which is within the atom, that is Isha. That which is the biggest of the biggest, the size of the universe, that is Isha. Smaller than the atom is Isha. That is everything. Ishavasya idam sarvam. And because He's permeating everything, He's owning everything. He's beyond time, He's beyond space. He makes up space, space is only a part of Him. So in this way, if you understand just this one thing, that there is something to be achieved, and the time to achieve it is now, and that there is a way to achieve it, and you begin right now, then life is beautiful. Life is beautiful. So, the rishis say things with a sense of urgency. If someone comes into the Quaker meeting house now, if a policeman came in, jumped on the stage and said, "Everybody, you must get out, there's a fire in the building, that's why it's so hot," what would you do? Would you say, maybe let's discuss that? This is a Quaker home, let's sit in quiet meditation and see if anybody comes up with an inspired comment, which is what they do, they sit in silence. If you were all Quakers, I wouldn't be talking. You'd tell me to be quiet. Because we have to rise above chit-chat, chit-chat, chit-chat. Everybody's chit-chat, 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 all day long. All day long. The birds are chit-chat, chit-chat, chit-chat. See, the other night, I woke up at 2:30. No, last night, a couple of nights ago. And there was a light on in the garden. And I thought, well, it might be a burglar. So I looked out the window, and it was a fox. And he triggered the light sensor. And he was just about 4 feet long. At least he looked about 3.5 feet long. He looked a big fox. Usually we get mummy foxes. This must have been a daddy fox. But he was sniffing around. And he was just being a fox. Now he didn't have to be trained to be a fox. There's no fox training school. You can learn how to be a fox. It comes naturally. So the Vedanta Sutra says, what comes naturally to humans? Foxes, they look for chickens in coops. They look for rabbits. They go different places they can smell very powerfully. Dogs and foxes are very powerful. When I come through the airport in New Jersey, New York, they have trained dogs. And these dogs can smell whatever they're looking for 10,000 times more powerful than the human nose. You don't stand a chance. If you're smuggling anything, it could be anything. Each dog is trained for a particular substance. So that you're coming through the airport, they'll sniff you. And there's big signs saying, do not pet the dog, do not touch the dog, do not look at the dog, do not call the dog, just allow yourself to be smelled. Thanks, America. And the other sign says, please do not try to import guns into America. Different country altogether, folks. So dogs are very, very powerful. They don't need training for these things, see? So what is it that a human being does naturally? What is it that we're meant for? Is it to sniff like a dog? Is it to jump like a kangaroo? Is it to do tricks? No. A human being is meant for dharma. Dharma. And dharma means that which sustains the existence of something. Just like I have a wonderful glass of water which I'll get around to drinking at some point. Water is wet, is liquid. That's the existence of water. In its unnatural state, it becomes ice, and in another state, it becomes steam. That's not natural for it. So the sages say, what's natural dharma for you? Just like natural dharma of heat and light. A candle is heat and light. If you have a candle will always be hot. Candle will always give off light. So in this way, the dharma of a candle is heat and light. So what is natural for you? What is dharma for you, for the human being? The dharma is to seek Brahman, to seek that state from which there is no greater happiness. It's Param Ananda. Not just Ananda, but Param Ananda. That's what we seek. And all the different adventures we go through in life. You tell me when it's now, Mukunda Kishore. Tell me when it's now.
Now. It's always now.
Is it now or now later?
That's right.
Everything that we go through in life is more or less a dream state. It's real, but it's a subjective dream state. We're seeing things not as they are, but we're seeing things as we are. We look at this world not as it is, but as we are, because we're looking at it from our eyes. Just like there was a man on board ship, we were talking about ships this afternoon. Mukunda, yeah, not this Mukunda, that Mukunda. We ran out of Hare Krishna names to give people, so he went to a training school for people on board ship. So there's a ship at midnight on the ocean, and he looks out, the captain looks out and he sees another ship on the horizon, sees the light, and he says to the first mate, he says, send them a light signal, tell him to move 20 degrees, stop it, and they're too close to us. So the first mate sends a signal to the other ship. They wait. And the other ship signals back with its light, no, you move. And the captain sends a sign, he says, okay, send them around, insist that you move, Admiral such and such. No, you move. He says, send them this sign. He says, damn it man, I'm a warship, it's difficult for me to move. Move 20 degrees starboard. The sign came back. You move, I'm a lighthouse. So the captain was thinking, I'm the captain of the ship. And all he could see in the world was ship. That's what he could see. So when he saw this other ship, when he saw the other light, he immediately, you understand, he presumed. So we live in a world of presumption. Somebody says something to you, presume they're being aggressive, or you presume they're being rude, or you presume, ladies, someone speaks to you, says, have you got the time? So, I already have a boyfriend. I'm married. In other words, we presume what the other person is. We live in a world of presumption. We live in a world of false perception. And the Vedas say there's different levels of false perception. First, you cannot see, hear, touch, taste, everything. Just like the dog can hear 10,000, it can smell 10,000 times more powerful than you. The moth can smell a mate a mile away. Can you smell your mate a mile away? Hopefully not. Or the bat can hear incredibly well. So, even from the point of view of our senses, we don't hear very well. The eagle, do you know an eagle could see? Well, at the back of the eye there's something called fovea. And this fovea, the more you have, the more you can see at the back of the retina. And an eagle is so powerful that it can see a rabbit from a mile up in the sky. Incredible. It's the equivalent of you standing on top of a multi-story car park, looking down in the street and seeing an ant. That's an eagle. So your senses don't even match other animals. And yet with your senses, you want to perceive reality. So the Vedas say, don't do that. Just understand that you can't perceive reality as it is. So we are living in a mirage. You ever seen a mirage? Into the desert, you see water off in the distance. I was so thirsty one time. Can you take a drink of water? So I was in India, and we were walking barefoot. It's one of those things I did when I was younger. Can't do it now. But we were on a Braj Mandal program. Parikram means walking around. Braj is the place where Krishna performed many of his childhood activities. Well, all of his childhood activities. So we were walking around this area. You walk for 128 miles. 128 miles for a month. Do the maths. Barefoot, no shoes. And you walk across streams, thorny ground, ploughed fields, concrete, tarmac, stone, hot stone. It's tough. I was reduced to tears some days. I couldn't handle it. But I just grinned and bared it. One day we had to walk 14 miles in the hot sun. And I had some water and I drank it all. Because you need about 3 litres to cope. I've never ever been so thirsty in my life. Never been so thirsty in my life. It was just incredible. All I could think of, my one focus was water, water, water. And off in the distance I kept seeing wells, but there was no wells, it was a mirage. Eventually I got to a place where there was a big banyan tree and a well and cool water down below the ground, cold water. And I drank and I drank and I drank and I drank. Now the Vedas say that that's what it's like after living many, many, many lifetimes, finally being able to taste Brahman. It is like that. So we have something to look forward to. Something to look forward to. But to really experience it, we must rise above the senses, because the senses cause us to make false predictions about happiness. Happiness can recede further into the distance. If I just go a little bit further, then I will experience happiness. But it's always just ahead. I can find just the right person. I know the right person is out there for me. I just got to look a bit harder. No. The right person will never quite come. You spend your life looking for the right person. Maybe the right person is the one you have now. Right? I'm going to look for the perfect job for me. This job's not quite right for me. Or maybe it is the right job, or maybe you have to do some adjustment. Maybe the situation you're in right now is a situation that you are supposed to be in, but you've got to make the best of it. An incredibly bad bargain. The body that we have, the senses, the mind that we have, not the best. Not the best. It would be better if you were someone else. Really, wouldn't it? Have you thought about being someone else? But you can't. You have to be you. It would be better if it was a different period. I'd like to live back in the 1800s, in the time of Charles Dickens. I'd like to live in the future, where we all go to work on hoverboards. Do you remember that Makuniki show? They told us in the 1960s that by the year 1999, you and I would be wearing crinkled silver suits, eating nutritional tablets, and going to work on hoverboards. We'd all have our personal robot in the house. None of that came true. The result is closed high streets, shops closing down. There's a dystopian vision that we have. So the Vedas say, please arise, awake. Now is the time. Now is the time to taste the eternal. And what is the best thing we can do? Best thing we can do is to try to remove illusion. remove the illusion that's keeping us thinking that we are time-bound, that we have a future in this body. The illusion that we're not eternal. One of the greatest joys of spiritual life is the feeling of happiness that comes, that I'm never going to die. I shall never die. The body, yeah, that will go. But I will not die. I am eternal. Imagine if you could feel I am eternal and really experience it. What a wonderful thing it would be. That's open to everyone who takes the Vedic path. And we experience it. Mukunda Kishore experiences it. You experience it. Who has not stepped into eternity, infinity, when they've chanted the Hare Krishna mantra? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One great sage has said, what does he say? How does that go? Jivana Talamala. How does that begin? Anyway, Jivana Talamala. Huh? What's the first line? Kamala Dala Jala Jivana Talamala. He says that life is a drop of water suspended temporarily on the leaf of a lotus flower. How long will that last? You see the drop is just 1, 2, 3 bounces and then it's gone. Very short time. And so, because of that situation, we have to be very serious. When do we need to get serious about spiritual life? Now. Now please. There's an urgency to it. And when I first heard this, I thought, well, the Hare Krishna devotees are being a little bit insistent. Because when I first met them at a pop festival at Mukunda Kishore, I was only 17. And they were all old men. They were like, 23, 24. And I thought, these old men, they're giving me a hard time. I want to enjoy life. There was a point at which a young lady who'd had, shall we say, a little too much to drink, she came to me, and I was looking for a place to stay. I told her I've lost my tent. Someone had stolen my tent. She said, well, you can come into my tent. She took me by the lapels and pulled me. I thought, okay, this is it. This is where I taste bliss. And then into the space between us, Tribhuvannath Das, who was a monk at that time, really old man, he was 25. He put his head, and he looked at me, he turned his head, looked at me, and he said, don't do it, Mick, it's Maya. And I looked at this young lady and I said, I gotta go with them. I'm with them, sorry. That was it. That was my sliding doors moment. We all have a choice. We are the sum total of all the choices that we make, so I made a choice at that time. And here I am, sitting in this rather comfortable chair. So, I think that we must experience something to keep our spiritual life dynamic. Spiritual life is dynamic, and we will be given a few free experiences. I was at Rath Yatra in London Rath Yatra Chariot Festival, and a lady came up to me, again, this is what we call a yoga lady, yoga teachers, and her mascara had run all down to her cheeks. She was crying. She came up to me and she said, they told me to come to you. I said, okay. She said, what is that sound? I said, what sound? That you're singing. Look what it's done to me. I'm crying, but I don't know why I'm crying. Why am I crying? And I explained to her, this is the Hare Krishna mantra. Now, not everybody gets that experience immediately. Somebody else came to me. He said, Kripamoya, let me tell you my story. I was a tourist in India. I was on the way to the Taj Mahal. The bus driver stopped in Vrindavan. We went to the temple, and I looked at the beautiful deities, and the curtains opened. He said, I'm Jewish. I was raised never to bow down to idols. And I looked at the deities, and I found myself crying. He said, in my mind I was thinking, I don't believe in this, but I'm crying. I don't believe in this, but I'm crying. So it has a profound effect, shattering effect. But, as Mukunda Kishore Prabhu alluded, and as I'm sure we've all experienced, there is an initial effect, and there is a long period where we may be not crying, but frying. We may feel very dry, not crying but drying. And then, even the great poets, even the great sages say that we should chant even more intensely. Because even though it's the last thing that we want to do, it's the best thing that we can do. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Chaito Darbana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairava Chandrikara Taranam Vidyavadu Jivanam. He says these are the 7 flames of the sacrifice. 7 flames means 7 results that we get. Chaito Darbana Marjanam. If you chant the mantra, the mirror of your mind is cleaned. Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam. A forest fire. Once I was giving a talk like this at a Sunday feast. Okay, do we have a feast? It's coming? Okay. It was a Sunday feast, and it was in Spain. And we saw some smoke off in the distance. Now when you see smoke off in the distance on a dry plain in Spain, then you know there's problems. So everybody jumped up from the feast and ran outside because they knew the fire was coming. It was a forest fire. Not exactly forest, but scrub. Scrub, low brush, small trees. Luckily, one of the devotees, she was the mother of a son who joined the fire service. So he called her and said, yes, now we put it out. But there was a very real and tangible fear. We have a community an hour and a half north of Vancouver. It's called Sharanagati. It's set amongst the pine forests. And the whole community was trapped in a forest fire. And 2/3 of the community buildings, people's livelihoods and their homes and their cars and everything was burned. No one died, but the loss was tremendous. Thousands of dollars of loss. So it's a very real thing. So the scriptures, the ancient texts say that the world that we're living in now is a forest fire. It's like that. And you're trapped in it. You need great water to put it out. But the only water you can get is when it rains. If a storm comes and it really rains, that dampens everything down, including the forest fire. So the recitation of the transcendental names of God, Hare, Krishna and Rama, this is the rain shower that will put out the blazing fire, the fire in the heart, and the fire in society also. We see that. My daughter Janavi, she goes to sometimes prisons. She likes to chant Hare Krishna to audiences. Or in a prison you've got a good audience. And sometimes she goes to hospitals or places where people have mental health difficulties. And she sings. And people love it. And there's perceivable difference between before singing and after singing. It's a wonderful thing anyway just to sing together. But to sing the Hare Krishna mantra, it's very powerful. Because Kali Kalera Dharma Harinama Sankirtana. It's the way that the problems of the age that we're living in can be all mitigated. Shreya Kairava Chandika Avataranam Vidyavadu Jivanam. It is the heart, inside the heart there is a flower. And this flower is a lotus flower in the heart. But it's a lotus flower that only blooms, only opens up in the moonlight. A special type of night blooming lotus. So this name of Krishna is the night, the moonlight, which opens the lotus flower of the heart. So these beautiful verses chanted by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they describe the wonderful benefit of chanting. And I think it is something that you know already because many people will have told you. But the best way to attain this Brahma Nirvana that we've talked about is by the recitation of the names of Krishna. But be warned, there will be an experience of great happiness, which may, and usually is, followed by an experience of great dryness. Then what to do? Keep going. Like Winston Churchill said, if you get to hell, keep going. Hare Krishna. I'll take some discussion on a couple of questions. I don't want to trouble you too much. Or should we move?
No, yeah.
Okay. I'm animated enough. I had about 4 hours sleep last night, so I'm really fired. I'm firing on all cylinders tonight.
Yes, Nick?
One's not a question, the other one's a point. And the point is, you were the first person that really massively affected me when I started going to Krishna consciousness. Mukunda accepted, obviously.
Obviously.
But it's just your voice. You talked about the vibration, and so this is going to be my question. Is that how important is that we are in collective vibration? You know, chanting around Krishna.
How important is?
Well, the fact that we're associating with other people and the vibration from singing the Maha Mantra has obviously a positive effect.
Yeah. Of course, the mantra is one thing, but singing it together is the process for the age. Because by singing it together, we kind of make up for each other's deficiencies. You know, on a Monday, I sing with you, but I'm not feeling very happy, I'm a bit down. Something happened on Monday morning. But you feel great on a Monday. So when we sing together, you help to carry me. On Tuesday, something makes me very happy, but you're upset about something, and I help to carry you. So that as a community, we can all help each other to move forward. And I think that you've experienced, just like last night, I was in Mukunda's group in Hastings. Somebody came to me at the end of the session and said, you know why I like coming to this group? It's like a family. It's like belonging to a family. We're all friends. And we need friends, actually. Every one of us needs friends. Not wants friends, but actually needs friends. Just psychologically we need it. Spiritually we need it. And therefore we see that wherever this Krishna Bhakti tradition is thriving, it's because people do it together. You know, ants know what they're doing. Bees know what they're doing. Beavers know what they're doing. There's a reason why wolves hunt in packs. You know, if there's any individual weakness, and about spiritual life, there will always be weakness because we'll be up and down or in and out. You know, this phenomenon that we spoke of so-called blooping. You know, we do this from time to time. I don't know anybody who's not, because people sometimes ask me, have you ever left Krishna consciousness? I say yes, about 8 times I've left Krishna consciousness. I've really made up my mind that I'm not going to do it anymore because it's too difficult and I'm getting nothing back from it. And then the next morning, I pick up my beep out there. I pick it up. The next day is another now. You know, we must struggle. Sometimes when you know that old story, if you help a butterfly come out of the chrysalis, you kill it. It must struggle in order to start breathing, the heart going and everything. So in spiritual life we must struggle. Without that struggle, it seems that you don't develop the muscles that you need to do the long distance race that spiritual life is. So it's very important to have people on your side. So to have friends in spiritual life that care about you. William Shakespeare said, if you could find someone like that, who actually cares about you, who's a good friend, and you should tie them to your chest with a rope made of steel. It's in one play, maybe The Tempest or something. So there are social scientists, people who study friendship and how many friends it takes to get us through life. And they say about 6 or 7 friends is good, but some people will have even more. We have circles of friends. But sometimes, especially after COVID, we find that people have less friends than they used to. It doesn't mean that COVID took them away, it's just that we got used to getting rid of the need to meet up with people. It's very important meeting up with people. What is a friend? What is a true friend? Well, it says that the difference between an acquaintance and a friend is someone who, if you were ill in hospital, an acquaintance would send you a text, get well soon. But a friend would come and visit you physically in the hospital. That's the difference. Or if you didn't have any money, an acquaintance would say, hope you get through your problems soon. But a friend would say, how much do you need? So these are the sort of people that Shakespeare is talking about. Of course, another definition of a friend is someone that would come to your funeral and say nice things and cry about you. But you'll never get to know who that was. So better you take stock of your friends at the moment. So how do you get... People say to me sometimes, they say, well, it's all very well you saying this, but I don't have any friends. I've got 1 or 2 friends, 1 or 2 good friends. And since I joined Krishna consciousness, you've told me to get rid of some of my friends. My drinking friends, my smoking friends, my gambling friends. I lost them. My meat-eating friends. So I've got no friends left. Thank you very much, Mr. Krishna person. You got rid of all my good friends. So, we have to find some new friends. It is possible to find new friends based on the new you. It is possible. So how do you make friends with someone? It's not like it was in the playground when you were a kid. Will you be my friend? Will you be my friend? I don't have anybody. No. You find more friends by being friendly. Friendship is about what you give, what you put into the relationship. Just like friendship is the precursor to love. You get love by giving love. So what does it mean to give love? It means to give affectionate words, regard, helping a person, being compassionate towards them. All of these things, you'll feel that a person is your friend when you receive that from them. And that will bring out the qualities in your heart too. So what we're trying to create with these meetings like this one is we're trying to create a web, a spider's web, a jolly, happy spider's web, a multicoloured spider's web of interconnected stickiness. That we all know each other, and we all like each other. We all serve each other. Because if you help me get to my spiritual goal, and I help you get to your spiritual goal, then we get there together. Some things can only be done together. Like the old philosophical problem is that if 2 people who don't like each other are in a boat and they've both got 1 oar each, and to get to the bank of the river they need 2 oars, what happens? Well, they learn how to cooperate. So in our groups, in our Hare Krishna Sanghas, different people from all different parts of the world, all different cultures, some know something about Krishna, some don't. Some complete newcomers, some old hands, some from India, some not. They all come together, and they're all thrown together. But in that throwing together, we learn from each other. I've learned an amazing amount from people I've just been thrown together with. It's quite amazing. The people that I've known in my life that have just been thrown together with. Yeah.
It's something, I'm sorry if I'm paraphrasing, but it really stuck with me. It's something like collectively, our behaviour should reflect our values. And that's really stuck with me, that the idea that we should live up to what we believe in and what we stand for, as a collectively and individually.
Yeah. But in coming together, we can learn different aspects of that and how to reach that truth. There's great value in working together. That's what you learn when you go into the army, or the Navy, or the Air Force. That sometimes it takes 8 people to build a bridge. But when 8 people build a bridge together, all 8 people can be saved by using the bridge. It takes a team. So it's nice to see when I first came here, Mukunda Kishore, you built a team. Mukunda wasn't even here. He just lied, came at the end. Everything had been done by happy worker bees, and the queen bee came in. It's a fact, isn't it? As soon as the doors were open, everybody had a responsibility. That's the best thing to do. Because 2 things we crave in life, apart from Brahman, the spiritual platform. 2 things we crave. One is a sense of belonging, that somebody cares that we exist, and one is an identity. So belonging, we achieve a sense of belonging by the relationships that exist between us and other members of that which we belong to. No relationships, no sense of belonging. An identity we get from what we contribute to that group. So when we do these things together, then everybody can succeed. One more. I was asked to say something about Purushottam Mass. Yeah. Purushottam Mass. Mass means month. We are now in a month. It's called the extra month, or Adhika Mass. Adhika means extra. And how can you have an extra month? Well, because there's 2 calendars that you can use to calculate where you are in the now. One is the lunar calendar, one is the solar calendar. Now the solar calendar is easy, because when you wake up in the morning there's the sun, and it goes across the sky, and as everybody knows, the sun goes around the earth. At least that's what it looks like. We go around the sun, of course. But every day, it's a new day. It's easy to calculate. But the moon will show us not just the passing of the 24 hours, but the moon will show us where we are in the cycle. So twice in a month, we get a full cycle of the moon, and that can help us with planting crops, it can help us with medicine, it can help us with harvest, it can even help us with mental health, different things, phases of the moon. So I use the lunar calendar, I use the solar calendar, but we have a problem. The lunar calendar, if you add it all up, comes to 354 days. The solar calendar comes to 365 days. So there's 11 days difference. So if you allow that to continue, you get problems in the seasons. So it's just a counting framework. So every 3 years, which means 33 days, we put a full month into the lunar calendar. That's called the Adhika Mass, or the extra month. And in the Western world, we call it the intercalated month. Intercalated month. So now, taking the message from the rishis that the time is now to do these things. When is a good time to do extra spiritual activity? Well, it's now, during Purushottam Mass. It's now. This time will only come once every 3 years, so it's time to do it. So if we look at books like the Padma Purana and the Skanda Purana, you'll find a great insistence by the sages who compiled them that Purushottam Mass is a very special opportunity to do this. Of course, these messages of a special time to do things, they're for people who don't normally do things. Mostly, when we see in scripture, if you do this by the sixth of the month, this will be a wonderful opportunity for you. So in his general teaching, Srila Prabhupada taught that there's two types of people who do spiritual life. One type of person who does spiritual life does it every day. Dinka puja, does something spiritual every day. Meditation every day. Every single day you do something. Some people, their religion or their spiritual practice is that they wait for special occasions, special inducements. Now I'm going to follow Lent. I'm going to give up eating chocolate for Lent. Special time on the Christian calendar. Now I'm going to do Ramadan. I'm going to fast from sunrise to sunset. Special opportunity. So for people who don't do things ordinarily, special opportunity is provided. They take that opportunity and make progress. But for those who do something every day, then there's less insistence that you do something for a special period. Just like Ekadashi. Ekadashi is every 11th day. Eka, Dasha. Dasha means 10, Eka means 1. So Ekadashi is the 11th day. And on the 11th day, we don't eat any grains, no cornflakes, no shredded wheat, no Rice Krispies, no porridge, no grains, no beans, no Heinz baked beans on toast, no legumes, no peas, no mushy peas. I know in this part of London they like their mushy peas. So none of those things. But Srila Prabhupada even said, that is not the highest consideration. The highest consideration is to compassionately reach out to someone. And so sometimes Prabhupada would even have grains served on Ekadashi to people visiting the temple. As the highest principle is you eat, take prasada. That may be the only time you come to the temple. There's a story about a man, and he was a thief. And all his life he was a thief. And he was running away from the police. And there was a Sangha, just like this one, on Bhagavad Purana, and he sat. And for 5 minutes, he listened to the Srimad Bhagavatam, the beautiful stories of Krishna. For the rest of his life, he never came into satsang. And he died. And he went to hell for all his sins as a thief. And they said, well, you're very sinful, but we'll give you an opportunity now. You've done 5 minutes of good deeds in your life by listening to the Bhagavad Purana. What would you like to do? You can have another 5 minutes of the Bhagavatam, or you can go see that lake of fire down there. You go, what would you like? He said, I'd like another 5 minutes. He said, another 5 minutes of Bhagavatam. He came back to the ruler of hell. He said, well, there's a lake of eternal damnation. Or you can have another, you've had 10 minutes, I see, of spiritual practice. What would you like? And of course the story, how long have you got? The story goes on and on and on. And eventually, he comes before the Lord, Yamaraja. He's got tears in his eyes. And Yamaraj says to him, why are you crying? He says, because I've spent a whole life reading the Srimad Bhagavatam. He said, okay, there's only one destination for you. That's back to Godhead. I'm not in charge of that department. You can go. That's the exit door. So, precious opportunity. person may only come, like Prabhupada was in the 26 Second Avenue store in New York, and a drunk man came in with some toilet roll. Now it just so happened that A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami did not use toilet roll, neither did his followers. He was take a shower, water. But he said that, no, bring him in, bring it all in. There's another story from India where a man brought a churn of milk. Sorry, vegans, they brought a churn of milk. And Prabhupada said, yes, we can take it. The man said, sorry, Swamiji, I need the churn back. Can you just put it into pots? So they put it into different pots. And there was still some milk left. Now, in every Hindu home, every Indian home, in every toilet, there's something called a lota. And that is the dirtiest pot in the whole house, you see. But Prabhupada asked, he said, is there any more pots? And there's only the toilet lota. Get it, wash it, fill it up with milk. But Prabhupada, it's used for the... I know. This may be the only time he comes to give milk. So when a person comes to do bhakti, we reciprocate that opportunity. So someone comes in here once, and they've got a leaflet in the street. We make it the nicest possible occasion for them. When someone comes to our group, our Sangha, Prabhupada said, Mahavishnu himself has personally sent this person to you. Now what will you do for them? This may be their only chance, and you have that chance. They can experience eternity in this life. And you have been given the responsibility of helping them. What a great opportunity you have. So it may just look like a random collection of human beings in a Quaker meeting house, but it can change people's lives completely, change destinies completely. It's like Alfred Ford. Alfred Ford is the grandson of Henry Ford of famous Ford Motor Company. He got a book, got a Bhagavad Gita, came to the temple and changed his life. He met Srila Prabhupada, who became his guru. He said, Prabhupada, what can I do for you? He said, I want you to build me a temple in India that's 350 feet high. The biggest temple in Asia, biggest dome in Asia. He said, he realized it would swallow all his family fortune, but he did it. Another opening it next year. He put 65 million pounds, or dollars, $65 million into building the temple. Amazing lifetime achievement. But his guru wanted it. He said, now is the time to do it. And he did it. Do you think he feels a great sense of loss? Do you think he looks at that building and thinks, at 65 million, God, I could have spent that on doing something? No. He thinks this is my greatest fortune is to be able to have done something in this life which will have a lasting effect for 1,000 years, for as long as that temple stays. People will come and they'll look and they'll see, wonder. So what you do for another person to help them on the spiritual path, to fit in with your question, is the most important change in their life. There was once a turtle, there was once a turtle in the ocean. And the turtle was a very strange turtle. It was a huge turtle. And it would swim in a circular pattern down to the bottom of the sea and up to the top. Down to the bottom of the sea and up to the top. When it came up to the top, it would float on the surface for a very short time, down to the bottom of the sea. But down to the bottom of the sea, the trip would take 1,000 years to make the full circle. But one time, there was a block of wood, a plank of wood, floating on the surface of the ocean. The ocean was thousands of miles square. And as the turtle came up, he put his head up to breathe some air, and his head went through the hole in the plank of wood, and he was carried along. You no longer have to come down into the darkness. So, the sages say, turtle is actually you, going through the cycle of reincarnation again and again, down through all the different species and coming up to the surface of the ocean, which is human life. The plank of wood is your precious opportunity in that lifetime to take to spiritual life. So when your aspiration for greater breath meets that plank of wood, you're carried along on the surface. The greatest opportunity has been reached. This is a very, very precious thing. So, it's not just a meeting in a Quaker house in Rochester. It's a life-transforming event for many people. Hare Krishna. So let's help each other, work together, and spread this Krishna names all over Rochester, to infinity and beyond. Where's beyond? To infinity and beyond is where Darford, Gravesend. Where's beyond? Where's beyond Rochester? Strood.
Canterbury.
Alright. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Makanda Kishore Prabhu ki jai. All happy worker bees that work to keep this project going ki jai.
That's not me.
It's great people more of
Jai.
Thank you. Thank you, Maharaj, for a wonderful class. I'm sure everyone feels inspired to take this process seriously. And Jare Likho Tari Ho Krishna Upadesh, whoever we meet, we must inspire by our own examples that, just spread it, just give it to others. And that's what he has come here to do, inspire us, because he got inspired by Srila Prabhupada. Thank you for coming.
I forgot the story that I was going to tell you. This is just the last story. Prabhupada was giving a class when I was 20, the Srimad Bhagavatam class, the Bhaktivedanta Manna. And he was saying, you have had, he said, you have had many thousands of lives in the past. In the future, you may have many thousands of lives also. So each life is very, very short, it will flash by. He said, but just do one thing. In this short life, give this one short life to Krishna. And as he was looking around the room, I could swear that his eyes fell on me. And I thought, I've been wondering, should I continue with this Krishna consciousness or not? But that picked me up and kept me going. So I thought, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I was only 20, but I thought, okay, let me keep going. Hare Krishna. That's it now. Khatam ho gaya.
I think that's the story that resonates with all of us, isn't it? That moment, shut the door or leave it open. Every one of us can pause that. That moment was there in our life. Whether we go or leave. And leavers are gone. But people who keep that open, they are here. Thank you. Thank you for coming. Hare Krishna. Shall we have a bit of Kirtan? 10 minutes. Yeah. 10 minutes Kirtan. And we'll have Hari Bol. Once again, thank you everyone for coming tonight. It was really fabulous, wonderful festival today evening. I'm sure you all enjoyed it. Yeah?
Yes.
Hari Bol! And thank Mama Prabhu for coming. And we want, this kind of association more and more and more. So hopefully we'll keep connections and Maharaj keeps coming to our Sangha more often. Not after 6 years, Maharaj, more often. Okay, so next week we have another special personality coming to our Friday Sangha. His name is Bhagavad Ashir Prabhu and his wife as well. Both are traveling, so both are coming here. Ashur Mangalam Mukherjee. So please come again. Yeah, it's a never-ending festival. If we don't have physical festival, I'm sure, as Maharaj said, that we can enjoy the festivities within ourselves. It's never-ending. It's never-ending. Sometimes we exhibit as outside, but there's a lot of festivals should go within ourselves, inside. Yeah. So that's one thing. And next Saturday we have Jagannath Rath Yatra in Kobo at Radhanath Prabhu's farm. I'm sure most of you are familiar. So we're going to meet there on the 6th of June from 1 o'clock onwards. Jai Jagannath! Jai Jagannath! Jai Jagannath! Jai Jagannath! Jai. Yes. Yeah, so we'll enjoy the festivities next Saturday. Yes. Any other announcements?
Gravesend Sangha.
Yes, tomorrow we have Sangha in Gravesend. So that's from 3 to 5, and we are reading Shri Ishu Upanishad there. It is from 3 to 5, Gravesend Hindu Temple. So please come, whoever can make it. It's from 3 o'clock, very short time, from 3 to 5. So please come. Now we are reading from, I think the verses 5th and the 6th we'll do this week. So it's once a monthly Sangha we do in Gravesend Hindu Temple. So please come and join us, make it success. Then after we end Shri Ishu Upanishad, we possibly start reading the Ramayana there. So yes, people who have interest in Ramayana, we'll invite you there. Hare Krishna. Anything else?
Thursday book club.
Oh, yes, yeah. So Thursday book club. There's never ending festivities. So every Thursday we meet from 7 to 8 and we read books together. Okay, and there's a lot of journey goes on there. Yeah. So we read a few kind of pages every week. So we have come to the last chapter of the science of self-realization. So next week we'll complete that book, and they will be reading Krishna book week after. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we start reading that week after every Thursday. I think that's it.
And it's online.
Huh? It's online on Zoom, so you don't have to come anywhere. Just join, where you are. Some devotees join every week. Some just, as per your kind of suitability. Please come. It's nice. Churn things more and more and more. Churning is never done. Yeah. Then comes Krishna, beautiful, bluish, Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hare Krishna. Now it's much awaited time. Feast. Mahaprasade.
Govinde, Nama Bhavani Vaishnavi. Sarva Punyavatam Raja. Isvaso Naive Vijayate Sarila Bijaja Vidriya Taita Gita Fede Vishaya Sagure Sadamatye Jivati Lokmoy Sudormati Aketeta Katina Samsare Krishna Pado Doyamoy Kore Bare Jiva Joy Swaprasada Nadino Pai Sayan Vritapa Radha Krishna Gunaga Premadako Chaitanya Nitai Jai Mai Jai Nitai Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda